Trudeau's government has announced his plans to legally bring in 500,000 immigrants a year, which is a stunning number. That's got to be more than any other democracy in the world. And I just think of how that would affect things from wages to housing prices. But I haven't seen any commentary or criticism of this from other political parties or even other mainstream media. What is your take? What is the People's Party of Canada's take on a record 500,000 migrants a year coming to Canada?
Yes, Ezra, I must say that you are right saying that, all these establishment national political parties, the Conservative, the NDP, and the Green, the Bloc Québécois, they won't speak about that. Each of one agreed with that position of 500,000 people starting in 2025. And for us, we are saying it's mass immigration. Yes, we must have sustainable immigration, but we believe that we must have lower immigration than that number. And actually, 500,000, it is the population of Newfoundland every year in Canada. Every year we'll have a new Newfoundland in Canada, starting at 2025. So that being said, they're saying always more and more people. It would be important for economic growth. You don't need to have more people to have prosperity and economic growth. There's small countries that are very prosperous. The most important is to increase our purchasing power, our standard of living, and if mass immigration were a solution for that. Trudeau started mass immigration in 2019 with 350,000 people, and after 400,000 people, and we still have, inflation in this country, and our purchasing power is going down. So what they're saying, more and more people will bring more prosperity. That's not the case.
You said it's like bringing in a new Newfoundland every year. That's statistically right. But of course, they're not going to Newfoundland. I think the majority of them are going to Toronto, Vancouver. Some French-speaking migrants would probably go to Montreal. So they're really going to the big cities, which is understandable because many of these folks are coming from ethnic communities that they would probably want to live in or amongst or near. So what you're really doing is you're pouring probably 300, 400,000 of these people into the housing markets in Vancouver and Toronto, which are already two of the most expensive cities in North America to live in. I mean, the average housing prices in Toronto is well over $1 million for an average house. Same in Vancouver. I don't know why people don't make the connection between supply and demand. Like, you bring in 500,000 more people a year, you're going to need hundreds of thousands of houses in addition to existing housing requirements. I don't know how Trudeau or anyone can claim to talk about the cost of housing while almost doubling immigration.
Yes, you're right, Ezra. And, 500,000, it's a lot of people. And actually, I was able to watch an interview that Pierre Poilievre did with the National Post 2 days ago. And he said this country is a huge country. So they can go, in, Newfoundland and other places. But the reality is, and you were right about that, 42% of them, if you look at the data and the statistic, 42% of them are going to Toronto and Vancouver, these two big cities. So yes, that has an impact on the prices of houses over there. And the solution to that is to have sustainable immigration. But these establishment political parties won't speak about that. Poilievre is saying, we must force municipalities to change their bylaws. That's not respecting the Constitution. The easy answer to the prices of houses that is going up in Toronto and Vancouver is to stop mass immigration, and like that will help. And actually, the finance minister said that in an interview a couple of months ago. She said it's mathematical. We need to have fewer people, or we need to build more houses. So the solution is fewer people, and actually, when we are saying that, when these people are going to Toronto and Vancouver, people living in Toronto and Vancouver are leaving these cities. They are selling their houses over there, and they are going to another town or another cities, and prices of houses is going up in these cities. So that's very important. We need to have fewer immigrants, and we cannot tell them, don't go to Toronto or Vancouver. We cannot dictate them where to go. We need to have people that will be with us because they believe in Canadian values, they will share our values, and they will come here to work. But actually, if you look at the data right now, only 26% of them are immigrants that are coming to Canada. They're economic immigrants. That means that that person will have a job in this country because an entrepreneur was not able to find a Canadian for that job. 26% of skilled immigrants. We must increase that and having fewer refugees. And like you said, people who are crossing the border in my own province in Quebec illegally, 20,000 of them since the beginning of this year. 20,000, they're crossing the border. Do you really believe, Ezra, that their life is in danger in the state of New York when they're crossing with Gucci's and big luggages? No, they're coming here and they are not respecting our borders. If they want to come, they can come crossing the official point of entry. And they won't do that because we will tell them, you're not a refugee, you have to go back to the States. And we are the only party that is saying we must stop that. And I said during the last campaign, we must have a fence, not a wall, just a fence over there, and telling them, if you want to cross and come to Canada, you are welcome, but you just have to cross maybe 500 meters at your right, and you'll have an official point of entry, and you'll be able to cross. But we'll ask you the real questions. You are not a refugee, you must go back. But because of that agreement with the US, if they cross an unofficial port of entry, they can claim that they are refugees, and we cannot tell them go back to the US. So that's why we need to have a fence. But it's you cannot speak like that in this country. It's not politically correct. But we are doing politics differently, and we need to acknowledge that.
Now, you said that only 26% of these migrants are economic class. Can I ask where you got that statistic from? That's actually a shocking statistic. It suggests that, more than 300,000 people a year will be dependent. They'll either be on welfare, or maybe they will eventually find jobs. But if 74% of those 500,000 people are not economic migrants, then all the arguments for mass immigration that the Liberals and others put forward are not, well, they don't stand up. Where's that figure from, that 26%?
Yes, thank you for asking. In the 75%, you have the refugees, you have the people coming under reunification of family. When you're speaking about reunification of family, it's the big family. We agree that if we are a skilled worker and you want to come here, you can come and you can bring your wife or your husband and your children. That's the immediate family. But that's not what is happening on the reunification of family. You can have your brother, your sister, your grandmom, your granddad. We must stop that. But also, if you are a skilled immigrant and you are coming here, you are the one that will work. Your wife or husband won't work, and your children won't work. So it's why, under the skilled immigrants, usually it's only that skilled person. And if you count only that skilled person, it would be 26%. And because the immediate family won't work here in our country. But the data coming from the government, they are including the skilled immigrant and his or her immediate family. That's why they can tell you that, about 50% of them are skilled immigrants. That's not real. The real number is, if you count only that skilled immigrant, it's 26%. And we are in agreement that that person can bring his immediate family, but we must know that, the wife usually or the husband won't work work, and they are not coming here because we need that person to help us to build our economy. They're coming here because the husband or wife was a skilled immigrant. So that's a big difference. But the official, and if you look at the official data, that's the real statistic. 26% of them are skilled immigrants that when they will cross our border, they will have a job and they will work immediately. And usually, if you look at the data coming from Statistic Canada, it will take between 5 and 10 years for the other members of the family to work in our country.
What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday, I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.